Hi everyone, thanks for joining today. I'm going to be sharing a melt and pour tutorial with infused coffee oil inside the melt and pour soap. There was a lot of prep work with the soap. The first thing that I did do on that day was actually just go ahead and get some little embeds for the design aspect of the soap, and I tried out two different micas that I've been meaning to try out, and I just wanted to see how they looked in melt and pour because I'm going to use little coffee embeds on another soap I have coming up later. This is also just a test batch of soap to see how everything comes out, and eventually I will make this into a bigger loaf and maybe even change the design after I've made it. So you may be wondering why I want to infuse coffee oil into melt and pour soap. I have just been reading a lot of things that it's good on anti-aging, it's good for the elastin in your skin, and it can help make your skin feel firmer. So I thought it would be good to try to infuse it into some melt and pour soap. I really didn't see any other videos on this, so I thought I would give it a try and document the process for you guys. So about a month ago to 5 weeks ago, I went ahead and started doing some cold oil infusions. I did some dried botanicals, I did seasonings and herbs that I have in my house, and all of these are going to be going into skincare products or soaps that I have coming up and just different types of designs. Usually when I infuse oil, I usually use olive oil, and I do like to do the cold infusion the best. If you have questions about that, you can leave a comment below. There's plenty of videos on YouTube. If I get a lot of questions, maybe I'll just do a separate one. But basically for the cold infusion, you just go ahead and pour your herbs or dried botanicals into a jar, and then you top it off with your favorite carrier oil like olive oil or grapeseed oil or whatever it may be, which I think next time I will use a grapeseed oil because it's a little bit lighter on the skin, but it is more expensive. So I just kind of wanted to test it out with the olive oil today. Now this part was a little bit tricky. It's been a long time since I've done an infused oil with like a fine powder, and coffee grounds is kind of fine. So I did try to use a coffee filter and a strainer just to make sure that it was strained really well. You could also use a cheesecloth, which I've done before and it's a little bit easier. I just could not find mine since we've moved. So I just kind of pushed it through and got as much oil as I could. And tried to remove as much coffee grounds as I could because you don't want to leave the coffee grounds in there for any longer than about 8 weeks because it can start molding the oil. So you want to get as much of it out as you can. And then once you're done prepping the oil, you kind of just want to store it in like a dark cabinet or somewhere in your house for later use. I just wanted to show the final results of the coffee oil. As you can see, this was an olive oil and now it's a very dark brown. So I'm excited to use this in all my skincare products. Like I said before, this is just kind of an experiment, so I'm doing a small batch for this. I am using coffee mocha for the fragrance oil, and I'm also using the Crafter's Choice goat's milk base for the soap itself and the bottom layers. I'm only using about 1/4 tablespoon of fragrance oil, and when I do add the coffee oil, I'm using about 1/4 tablespoon as well. We also want to make sure that when we're melting down the base, since I am going to add in coffee grounds, that I went ahead and melted it down, and each soap base is a little different. To keep the coffee grounds suspended, you want to make sure that the soap is almost getting to the point where it's getting a skin layer again so that the coffee will actually suspend in the soap itself. For the actual coffee grounds themselves, I did just kind of eyeball how much I wanted in there. I do also want to add that these are not new coffee grounds. I had made a batch of coffee before. I Went ahead and saved the coffee grounds when I was done, and I laid them out on a baking sheet and I let them dry for about 24 hours. I did make sure to stir them up so that we get all the moisture out of the coffee grounds, because you don't want any mold if there's water left on the coffee grounds. So if you're going to do it that way, just make sure that they're really dry. And like I said, once the base starts kind of thickening up a little bit and you're noticing that the coffee grounds are suspending, you can go ahead and start to pour. I noticed the longer that I waited, the better that it was, because when you'll see when I unmold, there was like 1 or 2 bars. I think it was the first one I poured. A lot of the coffee grounds were stuck at the bottom. So I just kind of want to make sure you're waiting as long as you possibly can. And if your soap starts to thicken up or clump up, that's a good thing, and just go ahead and use it. I think I forgot to mention earlier that for the milk base, I only measured out about 9 ounces. And each of these little slots here, I'm filling up about 2/3 of the way full, just so I have room for the embeds that I'm adding in a minute. And as you can see, the coffee is kind of staying suspended in the base. So the longer you wait, the better chance you have for that to stay suspended. And I just wanted to show you really quick the melt and pour embeds that I made. I do like this darker brown better. I think it looks much better for coffee grounds, and it's going to be cute as a little embed. I did go ahead and add a little bit of this Mystic Blue powder. It's kind of a glitter, and I wanted to try it out in the clear melt and pour base, so this is just something I'm trying out again. And this is the top part to kind of adhere the little mini embeds that I've made of the coffee grounds. So you can kind of see the shimmer in here. It looks a lot better in person, and you can really see the details when it's finished up. But I just went ahead and spritzed everything down after this has been sitting. The white base has been sitting for about 30 minutes or so. And then I just went ahead and poured the next layer on. So here's the final product, and as you can see, this first one, the coffee grounds are sitting more at the bottom, but as I pull them out, the ones that I waited a little bit longer to pour, the coffee grounds are more suspended. And I'm really excited to use this. I love coffee grounds and soap. It just adds a lot of extra exfoliating properties that are really likable. And if you enjoyed this video today, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe, because I will be doing more melt and pour videos soon. Thank you guys for watching.